Hello and very warm welcome to everybody here for our CTA, the results are out, what now webinar. I'm Alison Humphries, I'm the director of Pro Recruitment. The brand we are looking at today is Pro Tax. We place tax professionals throughout the UK at all stages of their career, but today we are not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about you. Up with me today, I'm with my colleague Kate Green. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Kate, and what you do?
Oh, yes. So I've been with the Pro Recruitment for 12 years now, and I work on the Pro Tax team, so all disciplines of tax. So yes, here to sort of help with the webinar today.
Fantastic. Kate will be running our polls. So we'll be running some polls to help keep things a little bit more interactive. Yeah, hopefully if you can all take part in that, that'd be fantastic. Gives us some real insight into what we're thinking and what our audience looks like today. And I'm also joined by the fabulous Nitin Rabheru. Nitin, hi.
Hi, Ali. Hi, Kate.
Hi. Can you introduce yourself for us, please, Nit?
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Nitin Rabheru. Everyone just calls me Nit. I'm one of BPP's senior tax tutors, and I've been doing this for over 26 years.
And how many people do you think you've got through CTA exams?
Loads.
Thousands.
Loads. I'd like to think so, definitely.
Absolutely. Nit is famous for his no-nonsense approach to exams, and today we're going to be talking about how to reset, refocus, how to pass some exams, and giving you some hints and tips along the way. But today's all about what you do next, not what's already happened. You know, you're not alone. There's plenty of people here today. There's plenty of people that signed up that can't make it. There's plenty of people out there waiting for the recording, looking on, going, gosh, you know, what am I going to do? I've either not passed or I have passed and I don't know what to do next, or you've got more coming. Results don't refine your career, guys. And there is a clear strategy there for you. You just have to take it by both hands. First up, we're going to do a poll just to read the room. So Kate, if I can put it over to you, please, that'd be fantastic.
Perfect. So first poll is a bit of a results check-in. So just kind of want a sense in the room where everyone is up to with their sort of CTA. Some of you might have passed things, exams left. So let's have a little look at the votes coming in. Anybody got some failed some and need to retake some? So yeah, it's looking like some pass, some fail. Most of you have failed and need to retake, which must be a little bit daunting, but nothing to worry about. That's what we're here to sort of support you through.
And we got past everything. Well done.
Yes, well done to the one who's passed. Amazing. Still waiting for some more responses.
Right.
A couple of retakes. So yes, I think retake seems to be
a common
theme today. Yes, for sure.
Fair enough. Well, I think, look, there'll be some high emotions in the room, right, Nit? How do your students feel when they've failed exams and they need to retake them?
So the first thing, Ali, I want to say is whatever you do, please do not give up. I think that's the initial. So when when the results come out, obviously that I'm dealing with the good news as well as the bad news, and I think a lot of students who told me last week, Nick, I'm done, I've given up, have kind of messaged me this week and said, actually, I want to have another go. Things tend to calm down. I think the most important thing is it's reflection. Okay, it really is reflection. If you've got in the 40s, I want to make it clear for an 80 paper, you're amazing. Okay, you're amazing. You've made some really silly mistakes. Okay, if you've got 48, the target isn't 2 more marks. That's not how we do this. Okay, if you've got to look at the bigger picture, which is the application planning paper. So my strategy has kind of changed slightly, where I want to get students to get at least 58, 60, 70% on AT, so they will literally cruise the APS paper. There are too many students, Ali, getting 50 and then failing the APS paper. I've actually had a few people quit and just given up. Yeah, so there's a lot of short-termism. You can't be short-sighted here. You've got to look at the longer plan. unless you're on the ACA, CTA pathway and it's just advanced technical, then you're fine. So yeah, I would genuinely say you can do this. Ali, you know this as well. Those students that failed in November 25, that sat again in May 26, you've had messages, I've had messages. Guys, they passed. They've got through. Yeah, you know, change of mindset, change of approach. Okay, and we're going to talk about that on this amazing session.
And I think also, point to note is that CTA exams are hard. You know, how many people get first time passes? I mean, Nick, I'm throwing questions at you that are not planned here, but do we have a percentage of first time passes on CTA?
Well, you can. It's low, Ali. It's low. Yeah, genuinely. You know, it comes down to so many factors. It's not just about you. So it's how you prepared. Who did you prepare with? Okay. What's your work pressure like? What's your family situation like? Friends and family. What's your mental health like? You know, I'm big on mental health. Okay. And there's about 10 different factors that come into play. And not only that, on the day you saw in May 26, we won't talk about that much. Things didn't go to plan for some students, right? For CTA, as we know, the ATT stuff. Okay. And these things have a major bearing. Okay. And I just need people to be kind to themselves, take the pressure off, and actually learn to enjoy. The student that I really dislike is the one that comes to me and says, I want to get this done quickly. Yeah, I want to sit 2 papers at the same time. I want to do this. And I have very little time because I've seen it doesn't work. Yeah, unless you've got, you know, you're not working for 4 months and you've got nannies and cooks and chefs and, you know, butlers, then great. Yeah, you'll pull it off. But if you've got a normal working life, it's tough.
So what's the biggest mistake that people make after results day when it comes to looking at the next exams?
I would say straight away, opening up the manuals, opening up the books. Yeah, and just saying, oh, I've got to do more questions. I've got to work hard. No, 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 no. That knee-jerk reaction has to stop. You need to be very honest with yourself. Okay, why did you mess up? Okay, what was it? The 48, the 41. Okay, anyone getting in the 30s, I'm telling you right now, you are not technically ready. You don't have the technical base. You know, to get 31, 32, yeah, yours is a knowledge issue. Okay, those in the 40s, it's more about exam technique. Okay, there's a big difference between a 30 pass and a 30 result and a 40 result. And I think, Ali, the first thing is they need to reflect. They need to speak to someone that they're comfortable with. Go back to your tutors at Tolly's, Kaplan, BPP, or even with PARS if you're with PARS. Okay, because they will guide you. They know you. They know how you work. Okay, and I think, and I've helped so many people in the last week. My phone hasn't stopped, literally, Ali, and Kate. You know, it's just crazy where everyone you don't give the same advice to everyone, Ali. I have to. It's bespoke.
Of course.
Yeah, and I think, but the main thing, if you're looking for a common theme why people are failing, I would say they are not able to read the question properly. That's a massive thing where they're not connecting. So it's not about working harder. They've got the knowledge, they can't apply it.
Yeah.
Big one.
Someone's just spoke about time, but we'll come on to time in the exam a little bit later.
Yeah.
But it's prompted me to just ask you, Nit, about students underestimating the time that they use to study on a weekly basis. And I thought actually we could put a poll in here about time, if that's okay, because I'd like to get your view of what people should be doing when they're thinking, right, I need to prepare for these exams. What time do I need to put in place for the November exams? And when do I need to start doing it? So if we can get our next poll up, please.
So to the room, on average, how many hours per week did you study for your last sitting? Let's see what everybody's saying here. Obviously, it's really hard to, get that work-life balance and juggle study and also work at the same time. But how many hours a week is everyone sort of committing to the last sitting? Be good to see. So it's looking like 8 to 12 is a common answer today. A couple of 12 to 16. Some people putting in 16 plus, which is good to see.
Nick, what do you think to that?
Okay, it's personal. I think less than 8. It would make me nervous unless you are a tax genius. Okay, so if tax comes naturally to you, and in every mock exam that you're doing, you're getting 80%, 90%, then yeah, do less than 8. Absolutely. I would say for most people, I'm very much in the 8 to 12. If it was me, Ali, when I was studying, I was doing 12 to 16. And the only reason why, and I've said this to you openly, I'm not clever. It takes me time to work things out. So I like to go a little bit slower. Okay. And I'm all right with that because I have the TV on when I study. That's a knit thing. Okay. So for me it was fine. But what it is, Ali, I would say 10 hours. I've said to most people that I've spoken to that, try not to put pressure on yourselves Monday to Friday. See, this is where I get a bit upset. Students will try and do 2 hours of an evening. Ali, I know family life, right? I get, my brain just switches off. I can't function. And so what I tell students is if you've got young children or work is crazy, on a weekday, you should be doing maximum 1 hour on an evening. That's me telling you. And that 1 hour, you won't resent it. You'll be happy. What would I like you to do? Maybe do some topics you find easy. Admin. I know it's dull, but you need to know it. Okay, yeah. Read candidate scripts. Look at how they've been answered. Do something light. The candidate scripts are gold dust. That script has impressed the examiner. You don't need to read the questions. Look at how they've written that sentence. It will teach you not to waffle. It will teach you to manage your time, and we'll deal with that later. So do something light on a weekend. If it was my son or daughter, 10 hours minimum. Okay, you can spread that over a Saturday, Sunday. I'm one of these. I just want to get it done on the Saturday. I've got Sunday to chill. But you need to at least hit 10. And I know there'll be some tutors saying, oh, that's excessive. Do what's right for you. But for me, I'd say minimum 10 hours.
And I think the doing stuff that's easy at the end of the day is a really nice tip. Be kind to yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, and do it Tuesday to Thursday. Monday, Friday, you know that, Ali. We've done this. No studying. Yeah. Settle into the week, end the week on a high, just go out, just chill.
Exactly. There are some questions coming through, and actually we've got some stuff on that actually a little bit later. So we'll bring these questions in as and when we're answering those. So do keep them coming actually, and we'll address them as and when it's fitting in with where we're going. The next bit that I really want to talk about is people juggling papers, Nick, and why it's such a risk.
Yeah, look, BPP, it's one paper at a time. Yeah, one CTA, and again, I've had this, Ali, where this one student did both papers. She didn't listen to me. She proved me wrong. She passed both.
Yeah,
she passed both, but she scraped both. Yeah, she passed both. I told you I could get through. Failed APS twice.
Can we do a quick poll? I'm not sure if we've still got the lady behind the scenes who's doing the polls, but if you're there, could we do a one-off poll of people who've taken one paper or more than one in the last sitting? If we can get that poll up and running, that would be great. If we can't and you're not there, don't worry. But one paper at a time. Does it take you much longer to sit the CTA if you're doing one at a time, Nick?
Well, not really. If you focus on one at a time, you're done in 3 sittings.
Yeah.
You're done in 3 sittings, and I get the urgency, I get the rush, but the problem is you've got a lot of students who've done previous qualifications like ACCA, and they missed the bar. I love ACCA students. You know, it's our lovely Autumn Murphy, who's ACCA, and she got it. She was one of the few ACCA students I met that actually saw the challenge of CTA. And we know how clever this girl is to get quadruple prize winner. She did one at a time.
Yeah.
You know, and she knew, she goes, no, you got to take your time with this. You got to respect the qualification. But my worry is it's the APS where people will mess up, you know, so that's my concern.
We've got that here. Have you taken more than one? What's the response coming in at? More than one exam rather than poll, but yes.
Yeah, please let us
Okay.
know, guys. Those on the session here, if you can complete that poll, it really gives us a really good indication of how we then steer the conversation. And if you've passed both, congratulations. Yeah, that's all I can say. You
Yeah.
know, and that's brilliant. But I worry more about the pressure that it puts on people.
Yeah.
So it's looking like most people haven't, so about 72%, but there's like 30% of people have actually done more than one.
Yeah, one guy's just said, look, he took 2 papers and failed them both. It's
Failed to, yeah.
It's not your fault, you know. It's a.
And thank you for the honesty. Thank you for sharing. If you and share your experiences, you know, I'm not here to be right. We're here to help.
Passed one, failed one again. So it's hard to pass them both if you do 2 at a time.
Such a shame. Such a shame. Yeah, tears for you as well, Hasib. I feel for you. Okay. We have the next poll. Kate, if we can go on to our third poll, please.
Yeah. So whilst we've been talking about studying, so this one's a bit more skewed to study style. So how is everyone currently approaching their papers? So let's have a look here. So is it all papers at once? Are people doing one paper only? Let's have a little look. Some people aren't sure. So mostly people are sort of, you know, voting for one paper only.
Which is brilliant.
Some people,
which is good.
Yeah, which is amazing. Some people aren't sure yet. Not quite sure.
Yeah, one paper only is good, which boils down to that like one exam only, right, Nick? It cements our thoughts on one exam, one paper. Okay. Well, look, when should revision actually begin, Nick? When should these guys who have just had some really terrible news or some good news, when should it start?
BPP, we do things very slightly differently. Doesn't work for everyone, but we like to focus on revision from day one. So on my taxation of large corporates or my application planning skills course that I teach for OMB, I literally start on past paper questions immediately, showing students what the expectation is, showing students what the challenges are, and basically making them bulletproof when they go into that exam. You know, one of the students I spoke to last week said to me, Nick, you're very overwhelming and intimidating. Yeah. And this particular student was quite defensive. You know, everything I was saying was just kind of ricocheting off. It wasn't landing like it does with most. So I was kind of struggling in the end, and I put her on the spot with some scenarios, and she couldn't cope. You know, but that's what I do to my students is, look, this is how you're going to be in the exam. Let's get into the boxing ring and start sparring, you know, and you got to take a few jabs. And like one of my students on APS, and I will say to them at the beginning, look, today I'm going to tell you off. Today I'm going to shout at you, but it's all knit love. It's not personal. You need to make sure you don't look like a muppet in front of the examiner. And this one student, I can't mention her name for confidentiality reasons, she kept writing the most silliest things. And I was telling her off. I go, look, you write that in the exam, it's a fail. And when she passed, she goes, all those fail things you kept telling me, Nick, I wrote them down and I made sure I didn't do it. She got through. You know, and that's what it's about. Tell me where you're going wrong so that I can help you. This isn't personal. Okay. And that's where people need to be, is you've got to, the more you start reading questions, not doing them, reading them, that you start connecting with them, you're in a you're the intimidation and the overwhelming emotions literally disappear. But
Yeah.
that's the key, Ali.
Well, when people say I knew the content and still failed,
Yep.
why? How do you answer that one?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I literally, I literally, those people that have spoken to me, I'll literally say, have you got a pen and paper? I'll give them a little question and I give them 10 seconds and I'll say, can you give me these key points? Okay. And I'm going to do it here right now, if you don't mind. Okay.
Oh, live
So,
session.
no, I'm not going to get people to join in, but literally, so the question that I ask people, and if you're going to ring me again and hoping you're going to get it right, I'm going to ask you a different question. So this one's never going to be asked again. So the question is, if you have a sole trader and they're selling a building, what are the tax issues that you're thinking of? And the typical answers that I get is, oh, there's capital gains tax, there is BADAR, and there's rollover relief. And I said, that's absolute rubbish. That's why you're failing. Okay. And they said, and they're like, they're a little bit perplexed at this point. I go, what I would have expected from an AT student or an APS student is first tell me there's a chargeable disposal. Yeah, because without CGT is a long way down the line. Then tell me how you got to the gain. But what if there's a capital loss? You didn't mention that. Yeah, proceeds, less cost, less annual exemption if we need it. Then what about the due date? What about the tax rate? Where's all of that going? But the fundamental mistake you've made, you did not ask me what that building's being used for. Is it trading or is it investment? You went straight in. You went blind. Yeah. Okay. So all that stuff about BADAR and rollover relief, completely irrelevant. Now, if you're talking about BADAR, you didn't ask me, is that sole trader ceasing to trade or have they ceased and are we in the 3-year window? Yeah. So you're not asking questions. Rollover relief. What, again, what if it's what if you're buying a depreciating asset? It's not rollover, is it? It's holdover, section 154. And what about section 198, immovable fixtures? So when I've had that conversation with the student, they're sitting there looking a little bit stupid, but it's not my intention. I'm proving to them they know the content, Ali, 100%. They can't answer a transaction.
So here's a question for you. So if I
Go
was a
on.
CTA student now and
Yeah.
you'd said that to me,
Yeah.
I would be struggling with, well, I've got loads of questions, but I can't really ask those questions in the exam because I'm going to get no answers. So do you have to think of like almost answer your own questions in the exams of depending on what the building's used for? If it's this, then this could be, but if this,
Sorry, Alice, jump in. The information's in the question.
Right.
They're not thinking it because the minute it says a sole trader has let it out, that rules out rollover. Does that make sense? That rules it out. There are clues. This is the whole thing. You can learn the content. This is the pro. So that what I do is in all of my sessions, and Libby does the same. We start with a transaction because we're showing the student this is how the examiner is going to write it. I don't teach rollover relief like a definition. Let me just show you how it's going to come up in the exam. Let me show you the spins. Let me show you the twists and turns. Yeah, so that student, I will teach my students to be diagnostic. Yeah, that is the key. Any retaker here right now that wants to pass or thinking to get a new tattoo, diagnostic. That is it. That's what's going to get you through.
Because I suppose what the examiner is looking for is, are you a chartered tax advisor? Not do you know everything? Yeah. Can you advise a business owner on what's going to happen with this building?
Yeah.
So they're awarding the commercial judgment, not the answer of technical that's in a textbook that you read 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Can I take it one step further, Ali?
Yeah.
This is a killer point I've never made before. I don't think I have. On APS, right? One of the transactions is, should I become a sole trader or should I form a company? Okay, and the rule of thumb to anyone here that's done basic OMB type learning is the rule of thumb is that if you're loss making in the first few years, you should become a sole trader. Okay, and then you form a company. Okay, that is the rule of thumb. The APS examiner 4 years ago wrote a question, right, where you already had a company, you've sold your trade and assets, and you're going to start a new business. And the new business was loss making. So those students that had gone down the path of, oh yeah, become a sole trader because it's loss making, failed. They all failed APS because what they weren't able to do was think on their feet. Because there's already an existing company, to take the money out via a liquidation is going to cost you more. Yeah, so you might as well use the existing company. I know you're going to waste the losses, but the benefits of forming the company were actually better. Does that make sense? So if you've memorized an answer, which a lot of these guys do, be honest, right? They can't flex, they can't adapt. That's what the examiner does at CTA. Yeah, if you're memorizing an answer thinking that's your template and you're going to pass, no chance. Yeah, you've got to learn to duck and dive with this examiner. You've got to learn to spot the issues.
That's a really, really good point. And if you wait till the end, we've got our date coming up for the APS, because that's going to be a killer session. But it's a really good point. And I think it is all about that, looking at the question and that commercial judgment, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Just in here, actually, I'm going to just ask about AI. And is there a place for AI when it comes to revision? And if so, how should AI be helping these students?
Okay, I promised you I won't rant about this.
He does break promises, though, guys. He does.
Yeah. Oh my God, who have I not ranted about this? I think I must have ranted to the person on the aeroplane I was going on holiday with. So that was no, okay. So I had a student, one of my students, basically told me I was wrong, and then screenshotted an AI answer, and I didn't deal with it very well. Okay, yeah, and had the student just looked at the legislation, the answer was there. Okay, I would tell people to avoid AI, and I want to be proven wrong. Yeah, I'm a dinosaur. I'm an old git here. Okay, don't for exam purposes, don't use AI. You know, it doesn't help. I had a student speak to me the other day that she uses AI to self-mark her answers. Yeah, because it terrifies me. It really does terrify me because it doesn't know. We don't know which AI you're using. That some AI is amazing. Don't get me wrong. Like if you're post qualified and you're doing stuff, yeah, that's a different conversation. For trainees, you need to just get a pen and paper, keywords, know your stuff, get out of there. I think AI is a distraction.
I think also in the real world, some firms are developing their own AI. I get that. But I was speaking to a partner at S&W the other day. She's the head of private client for the whole of the North. And she was saying how AI is affecting her work. Is she only now is being called into court to help clients because clients are going to the HMRC and say, well, AI told me to do it. And they were using AI instead of using this lady. And she's sort of trying to help them with their defense of saying, well, this is where AI got it from, but all of these new rules have come into place and it's not working. So even in the real world, even post-qualification, your clients will be doing it and you'll be telling them off because it's wrong. And some of the information it does give you is wrong. And then when you say, well, what about this actually? And they say, oh, yes, sorry, I hadn't thought about that. You know, we've all been there to chat. So thanks for that, Nit. It's that's really, really very helpful. Just going to look at questions that have come in now and see if any of them are coming in. Let's get some through of some of these questions now. I wanted to go back to the one with time. There is a time one here. here the from Ricky Kemp. Kate, have you got that one? Can we cover that now?
Yes, yeah. So timing can be a big issue. So Ricky said that he could only complete 65% of the exam and got 32 marks. Hopefully better this time with PARDS.
Yeah, so he's with PARDS now. So
yeah, PARDS is to be fair, look, and I'm gonna do this in fairness, right? I'm gonna give a shout out to certain people that I think are genuinely amazing people and what they do. And I know Kevin called me the tax legend, Ali, and you know I hate that. I get really embarrassed when I get called this. But
no,
I
you
think
don't.
I think these guys are tax legends. I think at Tolly's, you've got Sheridan Gray, you've got Claire Oglesby, they're sensational. Okay, Kaplan, you've got John Cunningham, okay, absolute ledge. Neil DaCosta, he doesn't do CTA, but I'm in his shadows. Absolute up there. And PARDS just gets people through as well, you know. So these guys are amazing. And they've got to work for you. You know, you've got to find the tutor that fits your learning style. That's the key thing. And Ali, you know, I've said this all the time. I'm not for everyone. And I'm all right with that. So yeah, and I think it's key. Yeah. And I think with time, with the timing one, okay, this is where a lot of people spend 99% of their time, Ali, reading a manual. Yeah, you've got to I spend more time. I would say it's got to be 50-50, 50% learn your content, 50% read. You know, you haven't practiced reading, processing, data gathering. It's a skill. Okay, once you smash it, you're next level. And also, one of my students said to me, "Oh, I read the question twice." No, I'm really strict on this. You close down sentence by sentence. You data grab. You haven't got time to read it twice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the key. APS, you've only got an hour to plan. Okay, and I think what happens is a lot of students get the wobbles. A lot of students, they go in with the best intention and it falls apart. Okay, because the nerves get to you. And Ali, you know, I've sat some exams recently.
Yes.
Yeah, I went through the same emotions. I sat there thinking, oh my God, my students go through this. Yeah, and it takes a whole load of mental strength to stick to the plan, which I did and I got through. But I think a lot of people go off plan, and that's mental discipline.
And here's a question for you, Nick, because some exams are
Yeah.
like this. I don't know about the CTA because we've not
Yeah.
really spoken about it. But is it
Yeah.
best to get some marks from every question as opposed to getting 100% from just this one big question here?
Right, Ali, you know we're going to talk about this on the revision session.
Yeah.
I always tell my students, quickly scan the questions, quickly just read the requirements. There'll be one question that will make you smile. Do it last. You know I've said that. Do it last. When you're 3 hours in, energy levels are zero, you're skiing downhill. Okay. I would rather these students do the written questions, or the questions that you know are a little bit challenging, hit them first. And the
Get
written
something in. Yeah.
and the written questions are the easiest, right? This is what these guys don't do. The written questions are the best questions to do, because if you read it, you can get some easy application marks. You won't win every point, but if you apply and go attack, 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 you'll surprise yourself. Yeah, definitely.
There's one here about somebody asking if you'll do an exam question debrief.
Yeah, the exam question debrief. So for all Ali, we're going to do a shout out now. Okay, so anyone doing APS, I'm just checking my board. 19th of August in the evening, we with again amazing Ali Pro Recruitment, we're going to do a whole APS session. Okay, I'm going to try and get 2 of my past students on, so you can ask them as well what they did and how they got on. Okay, but we're doing that session to help you. So yeah.
Okay.
And on my day 3 of taught, my OMB APS, I spend 7 hours going through a past paper question from start to finish.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. And then the question about software, Kate.
Oh, sorry. I think is this the
how can we prepare for the new exam software coming into force in November
yes.
2026?
Do you know what? We got to wait for CIOT announcements. Yeah, I mean that's the safest answer at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Right. So the APS, that question there, we'll answer in the APS webinar. The one about college, Kate.
Yes. So if you're unable to attend college, how do you go about revision?
Are you saying that you're not attending a revision course? Are you saying if that's how I'm interpreting it, that you're not going to be
Yes.
attending a revision course with a
Yeah.
tuition provider?
Yeah.
Then I would then say you personally, you want to balance it between reading a question line by line, planning, audit the answer, see where you've gone wrong. That should be 60% of your time. Then some questions you want to practice the time as well. Okay, so it's got to be a balance of actual practicing to time. You don't need to do a whole paper, okay, unless you really want to. But I think it should be a nice mix.
Okay.
And there's a whole revision session happening. We're going to do a whole session dedicated to revision later in September.
Yeah. There's a question from Kelsey Marks here. Very helpful to hear tackling each question sentence by sentence. But what about questions where some information later on could affect what you would say about the first sentence? I'm worried about spending time on the wrong thing.
That's impossible to get it wrong. Because it's a brilliant question. What I want students to do is data gather. Does that make sense? So literally just start building up. And it's like a client meeting. It's like a client meeting. What the client says at the beginning and what he says at the end is completely different. It's only once you've read the whole question that you then form a judgment. Yeah. And this is the biggest problem with APS and AT, that some students go in too quickly and form that judgment straight away, and then you're caught out. Okay, just remember the examiner will throw in a twist and turn. Does that make sense? So just be prepared, be ready for the curveballs. Okay.
So data grab as you go through, but don't start your answer, and then start your answer once you've finished
100%.
Hopefully that helps you, Kelsey.
Ali, can I just give you a quick example?
Yes, of course.
So very, very quickly. So there was a BADAR question where business asset disposal relief question, where all the conditions were met. So this person is going to sell the shares, boom, 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 boom. But what they then do, like the last sentence right at the end, it says, I've resigned as a director. Okay, so I've resigned as a director today, or I'm thinking of resigning as a director today or in the next week, and the share sale was 2 weeks later. Does that make sense? So that literally, where you were 100%, yep, you got everything in, you then had to give advice on timing and the tax impact. That because you're now no longer working for the company, your tax rate is going to be 24% CGT. However, if you delay your director exit until at the point of sale, okay, then you continue to benefit 14%. That's what the examiner is looking for. Yeah, so the dates are really key. In any tax exam, the dates are your link to passing, because there's a reason why that date's been thrown in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The answer to your APS webinar on the 19th of August, it is Q&A, but it's also going to be tuition from NIT. So NIT is basically going to myself and NIT. I've got some questions planned. NIT answers them, and he basically talks you through how to get through the APS.
Yeah, and it's for all APS papers. It doesn't matter what route you're taking. The students that are coming on will be OMB, but those skills are transferable to any paper.
Yeah, so it's not a technical session, is it? It's more how to approach the actual exam itself.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to start talking about predicting exams next. And we're coming in with a poll. If we can get our next poll up, please, Kate.
Yes, perfect. So if everyone's being honest in the room, who was trying to predict the topics last time? Let's see who was predicting them. It's really easy to do, isn't it? I guess if you were trying to predict them, but who's, do you know what? Some people a little bit, not many people heavily, which is good to hear. Quite a few no's as well.
There's still over 65%
yeah,
who are,
a little bit, yeah, easily done, I guess.
Oh,
what are your thoughts on that?
Nip rant.
I have a strong dislike. I just, yeah, I'm really sorry if you get offended or upset by this. All the tax partners that I speak to, certainly over this year, more so than ever before, you're devaluing the qualification. Yeah, you're going to keep failing. You know, I look at the APS paper, well, LCG and the OMB one, and I genuinely look at it, Ali, and think, could I have called it that's coming up?
Yeah.
I couldn't. I can never do that. I can never put that on my students. That's such a high risk, immature way of doing it. You just can't. And you remember we had that student last time who did this whole Excel tracking system.
Yes.
And I think I lost my, yeah, I kind of got quite cross. You're just wasting time. Just learn your tax, learn the transactions, and you pass.
Especially
Sorry,
for
Ali.
this audience here, you know, we had this audience here 12 months ago, I want to say, and there was one guy who'd obviously failed his exam, and the area he'd failed in was transfer pricing, and he said, but I'm good with that because transfer pricing won't be in the November exam because they've just put it in the May exam, right? And it was like, absolutely not. You can't guarantee that. So please don't think like that. Just because they put in a transfer pricing question that was really quite complicated in May, but they're not going to do the same thing in November. So you've got to study for everything in order to be able to get through that exam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just, yeah, don't rule anything out.
Yeah, you can't. You've got to go in knowing your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one is about knowing your tax and admin, which I think can often be overlooked. Where are most people shocked to lose marks, Nip?
I would say the biggest problem in an AT and an APS exam is application. So what a lot, and again, I'd like comments in the chat from students if I'm talking rubbish here, yeah, or if I'm talking right, then please help us. Again, it helps me and Ali and Kate out. I think the biggest problem is application, that students are double writing, and I've done this example before. Okay, and I'll do it very, very quickly. So if you get a question where a shareholder is selling his shares, the student that runs out of time will do a whole theory on this is badar, there needs to be a material disposal, you need to own X, Y, Z. So they're literally copying out a paragraph they can picture in the manual. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Go straight in and say, let's say the shareholder is Kate. Okay, so what you want to start with is Kate has made a chargeable disposal of her shares. There will be a CGT charge, tick, you got a mark. Because she's selling her shares, this will also be a material disposal for Badar. Yeah, tick, another mark. Then go through, Kate has held a minimum 5% in the company. The company is a trading one. She's held the shares for the last 2 years and she's a working shareholder, 2 marks. That's how you write. Yeah, it's literally, that's why I want every single one of these students to start reading candidate scripts, because the candidate scripts literally show you beautiful perfection applied answers. Yes, if you're a waffler or you're running out of time, you literally need to stop all of that, because when you look at the marking guide, there's a marking grid after each question, Ali and Kate. Okay, and what happens is there's no room for theory. It's literally, have you made the point? Have you made the point? So you're effectively writing the same stuff twice, hoping to get double marks. You don't. And the date is key, Ali, because if it's a 25-26 tax year, you've got to tell me the CGT is due by the, and again, 31st of Jan 2027. What do some of these plums do? They write following the tax year. That's how to irritate a marker. Yeah. And Badar as well, it's 31st of Jan 2028. You know, so the dates are key. Bring it to life. You pretty much got 100%.
Yeah.
Does that help?
from last time as well, you're talking about penalties, ethics,
Yeah,
easy win admin marks that
yeah,
the people are like, well, I didn't realize that would give me a mark. And they're the
yeah.
type of things that people need to be thinking about, right?
100%, 100%. The admin is key.
We've had people in the past that have said, if I spell things incorrectly, are they going to mark me down? Well, you need
Not
to be
for AT
chartered.
so much. Yeah, AT not so much, but APS it's a big thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because you're writing a report and it needs to be readable for a client, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's key. And I mean, and the key thing about AT is you don't, as long as you've got a sensible applied short sentence, it's done. Leave a gap between each point. Everything has 5 key points, minimum 5 key points on BADR, EI. I'm ranting that EIS, EMI, anything.
Yeah.
Pay, PAY settlement agreement. There are always key words that you want to put into an applied sentence, and you pass. That's the trick.
So I think let's just do a very quick last poll. Given we've just spent 45 minutes going over, things that are you could have done better or whatever. Kate.
Yeah, so how's everyone feeling now after this session? How's everyone feeling about their next sitting? Is everyone feeling a bit more confident, or people still overwhelmed? How's everyone feeling? Clearer on what to do. Absolutely. I think it's been a really valuable session. A couple of people are still overwhelmed but hopeful, and I think being overwhelmed is just quite a natural feeling, so much more confident. We love to hear that. Overall clearer on what to do.
Excellent. Great. Now, before we come to finalise and a few final questions, just to give you some dates for your diary, Nitin has plugged it already, but we are doing the APS session. It's the 19th of August. Everyone who's on this call will receive an email with the link to that. Whatever APS exam you're doing, we've got one student who's failed the APS a couple of times, and then they finally passed the third time. He can talk to us about what he did differently in that exam to the previous two. Really helpful. And then we've got one student who really wasn't that confident in the exams, but passed first time. So again, we can talk to her about her exam technique. So it's not just myself and Nit, people who are in your shoes doing your job. So that's the first one. And then the second one is the 17th of September. We're holding a lunchtime webinar, 12 o'clock again, and that is going to be on the 17th of September, and it's revision stage. So what you're going to be doing, it's the 17th of September, what to do between now and the exam. So Nit and I will see you for both of those. We've had a couple of questions come in. So Kate, if I can sort of transfer over to you, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So Stacey's keen to know, is there going to be a spell checker on the new exam software?
I think there might be. Again, waiting for the CIOT to confirm, because we'll get some time to play around with it. Haven't had a chance yet, or had access yet, so not sure.
Okay, fab. Haroon's keen to know, he got 36%. Should he do the resit as a clean slate and redoing the course in the way that it's structured?
Okay, so I think what I want to do is take this opportunity, Ali, if you're happy, to kind of say, like, what should be the next steps? Do you think that's a good idea, given time as well?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Look, guys, whether you're doing the exam for the first time or you're retaking, there are certain things I know will guarantee your pass. Okay. The first one is I think you need to get your house in order. Okay. I think that you can't just start. House in order means that you've got the support at home, you've got the support at work. Okay. You're doing this with there's no mental pressure. Okay. You need the time and the space to learn. Okay. I think that needs to be sorted first. Secondly, once that's done, okay, allocate yourself time that you think you need to pass. I've gone with a minimum 10 hours, okay, over the weekend. I know that's not going to work for everyone. You might need to stagger it, but do it in a way that works for you. It's got to work for you. Thirdly, I would say to anyone right now, and this is a technique that's worked. I've tried it in May, and I was actually quite surprised how well it landed. Get every single candidate script. Don't worry about the questions. Just read them, because that is what you've got to produce. Yeah, so you're going to get, and the students that I asked them to do that, they said, Nick, I didn't realize that you could write this much and get these marks. I was writing more than that. You know, there were no section numbers, and it was, you know, the layout was much better. So that you're going to get so much from the candidate scripts. It gives you a clear kind of direction of where you need to aim. All right, so you've done that. With technical content, yeah, get the manuals are brilliant, but the manuals don't guarantee you'll pass. You're like, yeah, what you need to do is learn the content, but you need to, once you're comfortable, start reading questions. Okay, start reading those questions, connect your knowledge to the question. You're going to get, and then audit the marking grid. Okay, focus on what you've got wrong. And Ali's going to talk about this as well in a minute, the watch out sheets. Yeah, the key thing is put your mistakes. Now, don't put every mistake on one sheet of paper. That's not cool. You want to have a sheet of paper per structure or transaction. So it could be for individuals, you've got share schemes, shareholder, non-resident, non-dom, or non-long-term UK resident now. So you've got different watch outs. The more, and you need to make 1,000,000 mistakes. Your job is to learn by getting things wrong. So don't get upset, stay positive, and start doing revision starts from today. Yeah, 10-15 minutes regular revision is going to really help you. And these are the little things that will end up you getting massive, massive marks. Okay, that's where we want you to be until we do the revision session. And if you do that, your marks will literally increase 20-30%. Ali and I have seen that. But you do need the right mindset. If you're just going to keep doing the same things again and again, it's not going to work. Ali, over to you.
Yeah, so I mean, to sum up, don't give up. It's so important to not give up. Don't open the manuals as soon as you've got to fail an exam. Make sure that you've got your time planned out, reading those scripts. I'm going to do my script for the 17th of September and make sure that what you've done, I'm going to assume that people have done everything that Nitin's done by the time we get to the 17th of September. We don't want to be getting to the 17th of September and saying, right, have you read your candidate scripts? No, I haven't been doing that. Well, you should have been, because we set that back on the 22nd of July. The watch out sheets, that for me was a turning point when I started to hear about the CTA exams, because the watch out sheets, it's everything that you don't know. And so you've basically got a book of stuff you don't know. And that's the stuff to do when you're feeling fresh on a Saturday morning. That's the stuff to do when and you watch out sheets. It's all like you can tackle them when you're feeling fresh. Do the easy stuff at the end of a hard working day when your partner's giving you a real push and a shove for not doing something to a client deadline, because you don't want that. Or you're struggling because you haven't been to the gym and you're kicking yourself because you haven't been, because you need to do some revision. Again, you don't want that. One paper at a time. Commercial judgment is more important than knowledge. It's all about application. And read the question once. Data grab, but don't start your answer, because something in that question will change. That for me is like a summary of everything you've just said and things that people need to be very conscious of between now and the next time we meet. We've got a few more questions, Nick. If we can just grab these last 7 minutes to answer these few questions.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Please. Yeah. Go for it.
So Duncan requested the mark breakdown back. How do you interpret the marks from that? So i.e. is 10 out of 20 good knowledge, but missing things like payment dates?
Duncan, if you got 10 out of 20, I'd high five you. I think that's brilliant. That's a really good. And I think what happens with when someone fails an exam, I would say that's an excellent attempt, but there are other questions where you've let yourself down, in maybe by basic mistakes. Yeah, so it's the application, the overwriting, not actually covering all the technical points the examiner wanted. And so, as Ali's just explained, bridge those gaps, you'll pass. Yeah.
Perfect. There's a question here a bit about people putting too much pressure on themselves and exam confidence. Having sort of had a couple of fails in the past, someone had their sort of third sitting, worried about if they don't pass this time, the awareness exam and computer-based assessment run out. So it'll be the last attempt before deciding whether or not they want to give up. So I think someone who's suffered with panic attacks and a bit of being overwhelmed, any advice on putting pressure on yourself or how to cope with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year I've had someone pass their OMB AT on their 5th attempt and APS, different student, on their 6th attempt. Okay. Yeah. And with exam nerves, again, you've got to find the tutor that can help you and guide you. Okay. I'm very much about I think the power is in you to realize, slow down. Yeah, you're not going to win every point. If you miss a point, you're not going to fail. Okay, you've got to practice reading questions and not rush it. And as Ali said, if you're doing it at the wrong time, it's not landing, it's not working. Yeah, so often we think we're working hard, and you are, but it's not effective. Okay, it's only when you look at something and you've made a million mistakes, that's a good day. That's a good day. Yeah, for me. Right, think, oh my gosh, I'm getting that to me, I'd be so happy, I'd be so proud. And that's where you need to be. Ali, I want to add something in just really quickly. For anyone that needs help, if you do want a conversation, I'm only free today and tomorrow. Yeah, afterwards I'm not taking any more kind of like phone calls or so. Just message me via LinkedIn or cta@bpp.com. I can have a conversation with you if you want it. But we today and tomorrow are the last 2 days, just due to work commitments.
Fine. And I think just the question on somebody asking if you would do a line by line planning structure, tax impact example on a video. I think unless you're actually being tutored by NIT, that type of stuff is really quite hard for NIT to fit into his schedule to then be able to, because that's quite a long. It's quite a long answer.
Yeah, that's a BP. Yeah, you've got to pay if you want that kind of support and tuition, then you pay BPP for that.
Yeah.
But
I think going back to the individual who's really worried and is struggling with the exams, come on the journey with all of us. We are all here to help you and to support you. You're in a room full of people here who are in exactly the same situation as you and will also be struggling with exams, some more than others, that's fine. But you're not alone, and there will be people in your firm that will help you. And the computer and awareness exam, the computer-based awareness exam, take it again. And it's easy for me to say, but they're not as hard as the written ones, are they, Nit?
No, look, like this guy.
Take that pressure off. Take that pressure off. If that runs out, just take it again.
Yeah, look, it's not like this guy who passed on the 6th attempt. Until it clicks in your head, right? Just keep going, and he didn't give up. And I love this guy. I'm waiting for. He's promised me he's gonna put a recommendation up because I want the world to see his journey.
Yeah.
And he was so gutted he failed in November, and he thought he was going to get a NIT telling off. I don't tell my students off for failing. Okay, we just get back and let's go again.
Yeah.
All right. But
the pressure hanging over you of something like timing out, take that away, right? Remove that.
Yeah, absolutely. Every sitting will make you stronger and it will make you better. And he went in, and that guy who passed on his 6th attempt, when I spoke to him, he said, Nick, this time all I could hear was you shouting at me in a nice way. He goes, don't wobble, don't get scared, take control, attack. And he goes, I genuinely thought I walked out of that and I failed and I got through. But that's what you've got to do. You've got to have that personal fitness trainer, tax trainer in your head, whoever it might be, Sheridan Pards, John, Claire, and just have that person with you to get you through. You're not alone. Ali said it. We're together. We're here. That's why we do these sessions. We're here to help you.
Absolutely. And it's emotional right now, but we've got to put a strategy in place. That's what hopefully we've done. We'll see you all again on the 19th of August for the APS session, if you're sitting that, and then on the 17th for the general revision and exam technique session. And look, I hope this session's been useful for you. We're all in it together. If there's anything you need, reach out to Nit. Great. Myself and Kate are here and on hand as well.
Yeah.
But good luck with the candidate scripts and planning your time. Signing up for the next sessions, you'll get emails, Duncan, so you'll be able to get those links, no problem. Thank you very much for watching today's webinar. I hope you've all had something useful out of it.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thanks, everyone.
And, yeah,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully see some of you on the APS sessions, as Ali said, and see you on revision.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.